Good morning, Mr. Srinivas. Welcome to this call. Uh, I
Okay,
know
sir.
you wanted to, understand how you could apply my
Sir.
indicators on BTC USD, right? Primarily.
Okay.
So you can see the BTC USD chart, right, on your screen right now.
Sir.
And we are on the 5-minute time frame.
Okay.
So I have a couple of my indicators on my screen. I'll just show you one by one. So this is the Gann square of 9 indicator,
Okay.
which primarily draws the Gann levels based on some angular degree. And for BTC USD, I have just tested 90-degree works best on smaller time frame. Okay, so
Okay.
90 degrees is your settings, right?
Okay, sir.
That's it. So that's the only number you have to change, and everything else my indicator will take care of for you. Okay. See, levels are
Okay.
already drawn. So if I switch it off, no levels. If I switch it on, you get all these levels, right? Then the second indicator you have to use is what I call the scalper or the trend following indicator. Now, this is a technical indicator which is comprised of a few other technical indicators, right? Primarily, the adaptive CPR.
Okay.
So why it is called adaptive CPR? Because based on the time frame, it kind of adapts. Like, how much, what CPR to take. For example, if you're on a smaller intraday time frame, less than 15 minutes, it will use the daily CPR because that is what is most important because your time frame is also like you're trading for the day, right? But when
Okay.
you are more than 15 minutes time frame, typically that is what I call a swing time frame, and swing can be multiple days, and hence we use the weekly CPR for any time frame that
Okay.
is over 15 minutes. And then when
Okay,
you
sir.
go to daily and all, we switch to monthly CPR and so on, right? So that is why it is called adaptive CPR. It adapts to your time frame. So that is a very important component. The other thing about CPR is, the width of the CPR itself gives you a clue
Okay.
about what kind of move you may expect from in the day. A narrow CPR is indicative of a trending move that you may get a trend during the day, right? Whereas if the CPR is very wide, relatively speaking, then you may get a range bound move, right? And I will show you examples of that also. Then we have the VWAP. I have kept it off. If you are somebody who likes to use VWAP, you can turn it on, right? So VWAP, as you know, is a volume weighted average price. So it is
Okay.
something sort of demarcates, the territory between the bulls and the bears, right? So price above VWAP means price is bullish or in the bullish territory. Price below VWAP means you are in the bearish territory. So if you are somebody who looks at VWAP, you can turn it on. Otherwise, it is not required. You can turn it off. Okay. Super trend is a important component. I have my custom settings, and super trend is also required to color these candles. As you can see, these candles are colored, right, based on the trend. So when it is in a downtrend, candles are colored red. When it is in an uptrend, candles are colored green, right? When there is no trend, candles are colored orange, right? So I
Okay.
primarily use a combination of super trend and Bollinger Band to determine the color of the candle, right? And if you don't want the color, you can turn it off also in the settings. Then it will switch to normal candle color. But when you turn it on, so the reason this is important is because it takes care of your emotions. It also helps you understand the transition from a bearish trend to a bullish trend. Gives you a little bit more clarity, right? Like you mentioned, you don't have a setup, right? So this forms a very good setup, and primarily it takes care of the emotions in your mind, especially when you're in the trade, right? So how will you know that I am still in the uptrend, right? That question may crop up, right? Because you will see one big red candle and think that the trend is over, right? Not like that. If you're using a system setup like I am explaining here, then you need to stay in the trend for as long as the trend is active. Unless your stop loss gets hit, you need to stay with your trend, right?
Okay.
So that is kind of important. All right. And that
Sir.
is the reason I have done the candle coloring. Then Bollinger Bands, that is also important. A narrow band usually means that, a trend will come soon, right? Because a good move always happens out of a narrow, narrow band, right?
Okay.
And when the band is very wide, it means it is expanded. and the prices may shrink, right? So that is how you need to look at Bollinger Band. Typically, when you see price is in an uptrend, it will sort of go along the the boundary, the higher boundary of the high Bollinger Band, like that, right? So price at least have to be above the mid Bollinger Band to be considered bullish. That is the criteria I've used, right? Price have to be above the mid Bollinger Band to be considered bullish. The moment it dips below, see the colors are becoming orange, right? But still super trend is intact and hence it is orange. The moment super trend is also broken, then the candles become red. So which means the bearish condition is that it has to be below the super trend, meaning super trend has to be in sell, as well as it has to be below the mid Bollinger Band. So that is the condition I've used to color the candles. I hope that is
Okay, sir.
clear to you, right? Donchian channel, as you know, is some kind of high-low channel. So it marks the high and low of a specific period. If you are somebody who looks at breakouts primarily, then you can use it, right? Otherwise, you keep it off. I have not used this in any logical condition. It is just there. And then channel high and low. So a lot of people trade EMA channels also. It is for them primarily, but to avoid confusion, you can keep it off. So it is a combo of many indicators comprising of EMA channels, your Donchian channels, your Bollinger Band, your Super Trend, VWAP, and CPR, like 7, 8 components. Of that, the most important is the CPR and the Super Trend. So I keep that on all the time. Bollinger Band also sometimes I keep it off when I don't need it. Okay, so this is the settings. I hope you understood that.
Okay, sir.
Any questions so far on the indicator settings?
हाँ सर बोलिए ना सर.
Do you have any questions on what I explained so far, or is that clear? Now I will go into the trade setup.
हाँ ओके सर ट्रेड सेटअप बोलिए ना सर.
So see, now for trade setup, you have to use a combination of GAN levels and my other indicators. So you have to use a combo of both the indicators, right?
Okay.
So which day's trade would you like me to show? Where should I start from? Tell me.
हाँ यहाँ से स्टार्ट कीजिए ना सर.
इधर
ब्लू
इधर
कलर
से
सोपर ट्रेंड से.
इधर से शुरू करूं.
हाँ.
देखो, see, first rule you have to remember is whenever a high get formed, right? So you have to mark, what is the nearest GAN level near which the high was formed, right? So this is that GAN level, correct? Now for reversal, there has to be minimum 2 GAN levels retracement. Only then you can consider it as a reversal. Meaning, since price has touched near this GAN level, only if price retraces below this, it will be considered bearish or trend has changed, right? Not just that, you have to wait for the candles also to become red.
रेड.
The candles has to become red. Not just that,
ओके.
once you get the first red candle, you need to mark the low of that candle and maybe the nearest GAN level. One candle has to close below that red candle and the GAN level. So this is the perfect short candle for you. This one.
ओके.
This is your perfect candle to short. This is a perfect candle to short. Are you following me? Did you get it?
ओके.
Because candles became red, then there was a retracement, then breakdown, and price have already retraced more than 2 GAN levels from the top. So all conditions have been met on this candle, and hence you can go short here.
ओके.
Just below the low of this candle, you can go short. Now, once you are in the trade, your first target is next GAN level below. If you're in the short, the next GAN level is this, your first target is this one.
कितना पॉइंट्स आता है सर इसमें?
I will show you. So this is your first target, this yellow line.
हाँ.
Now, remember this one rule and you will never make a loss in your life, ever. Whenever, so let's say you are trading on 2 lots. I don't know what $100 will be able to do you, but trade in even number of lots if you can, right? Let's say quantity should be 2, 4, like that, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever. So whatever it is, I'm saying, let's say you are doing it in 2 lots. So one
ओके.
lot you have to compulsorily exit because you're in profit. You have to compulsorily exit when you get your first target. Did you follow me?
Okay.
And the second lot, you have to trail to cost. What is your cost? Your cost is this level, right? This is your cost. See, when you place your initial trade here, your stop loss was here somewhere above this
Okay.
level, right? Because that is where the price retraced. It is also your next GAN level. So your initial stop loss was here. As soon as you get your first target, one lot exited in profit. Immediately, stop loss, you bring it to your cost.
Okay.
So by doing this simple act, what have you done? You have booked your profit, right? And you have protected the second lot, meaning you cannot make a loss even though the price reverses. Let's say price reverse. You booked only one
Okay.
lot, right? One lot is still active. So even if the price reverses, you cannot make a loss because you already booked your profit on one lot. Second lot, you can exit and break even. Now that is
Okay.
the one and only rule that you have to follow like a system. And if you follow that consistently, you will become a profitable trader. Over a large number of trades, it is guaranteed, right? You will have a very high accuracy rate, at least 70% accuracy you will get.
Okay.
More than that, perhaps, right? So now see what happens. Now you got your first target. Actually, in the next candle, you got your three targets also. Now, I always suggest whenever you get three targets, always exit the trade. If you're trading in two quantity, if you're trading in higher lots, let's say three lots and all, you can keep one lot active and keep trailing. But you should always exit when you get your third target. And your third target is done here. You entered at this level, target one, target two.
Target
This
two.
is your
Target three.
this is your target two, and this is your target three. And you asked how many points, right? So one GAN level, this is your risk and reward unit. Okay. So it's around
Okay.
0.3%, around 330, 330, 340 points, you can say.
Okay.
So this is the amount of risk you have taken. Now for this much, so you took one, you will always take not more than 1 unit of risk. 1 unit is one GAN level. This is your what I call risk unit.
Okay.
What I call risk unit. So for
Okay.
this much risk, you have gained what? You have gained what? Three, one, two, three. So that means your reward is three times your risk on this trade at least. You got three times reward compared to the risk that you have taken, which means you have got 340 into three. That many points you have gotten on this trade. 340 into
Okay.
three. At least 1,000 points you've got. Clear? Not
Okay.
clear? Let me know any questions.
Clear, sir.
Okay. Now let us look at what is the reversal condition. So see, now there was a long week, so I'm not going to consider this level. And once I'm in the profit, I will wait and observe what the market does before I take the next trade. I don't need to be in a hurry to trade, because I've already made 1,000 points. Why do I need to trade right now? I will observe, right, for some time what is happening. I will allow the market to stabilize. So market took a second support on this GAN level. Now what did I say? Price has to retrace at least two GAN level from the support to consider a long trade. I told that no, two GAN levels it has to retrace to consider short. Similarly, from the support, it has to move at least two GAN levels to consider long trade. Now, technically, this first green candle, and the candle has to turn green, and a subsequent candle has to take out the high of that candle. So these are all the conditions for the long trade. Now, on this candle, you actually got technically a long condition, but your price is already above your GAN levels, so you can wait for a retracement or don't trade. That is also perfectly fine. Or you can enter here at mid GAN level, but your first target then becomes somewhere here, middle of the level. Are you getting me?
Okay.
Because your entry was here, let's say somewhere in the middle of this range. So your first target will also be in the middle of the range, proportionately shifted. See, ideally you should have entered here, and your target would have been this one. Are you following me? But you entered somewhere in the middle, so you shift whatever points you shifted. Let's say you entered here somewhere, right? That means what? Your ideal entry was here, but you entered here. So you add that much above that, and that should be your ideal first target. You
Okay.
shift it by that many points, that's all. So that it's
Huh.
proportionate, right? It is proportionate. Are you
Okay.
with me? Are you with me? Otherwise, what would have ideal entry would have been, price just dipped, touched this level, and then went. Then you could have taken an entry. See, what I
Okay.
always recommend is when you make profit in your first trade, then don't trade for the rest of the day, because you're only going to increase the chances of making loss the more you trade, right? And that is another rule. So you wait for maybe a base to be established and then a proper breakdown again, then you trade. So for example, here, see here clearly the trend changed and then the retracement happened and then it broke again. So this was another perfect trade. This was another perfect trade again, short. Now if you shorted here, again you got your one target, you got your second target, you got your third target. Let me show you. So this was your entry, somewhere here, somewhere here you entered. You got your first target here, you got your second target here, you got your third target here. And as I said, when you get your three targets, exit.
Okay.
So I showed you two trades. In this case, both was on the short side, but it will apply equally on the long side as well. So for example, right now, how you can trade this? See, Bitcoin has formed a base between these two CAN levels. So only when it breaks above this, and then there is a retracement touch, you can go long. Your first target will be this one, second target this one, third target this one, like that. And you can keep doing this for the rest of your life. You will make a ton of money. And it is very easy when you use a proper system, then making money becomes easier. So look
Okay.
at this. See, another ideal setup that I teach, right, is price leaving out of the CPR right at the start of the day. I mean, if you are awake at that time, of course, this is 5 in the morning, right? But that is when Bitcoin opens, right? Like 5:30, I guess. You know? So, see, this is an ideal setup because, see, price formed a base here already. You can see in the previous day. CPR was narrow. Price is leaving CPR, breaking below the GAN level, and this whole consolidation, right? So you can immediately short here. Your one, two, three, four targets done in a few minutes only. In three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles, your target is done. And when you get this kind of a trade, don't trade for the rest of the day. Rest.
Okay, sir.
Anywhere you can make money. I mean, you go to any day, any chart, right? This is a long setup. So typically, you should always observe where the price is bottoming out and then wait for minimum two levels above. See here, for example, price bottomed out here, candle color changed to green. This is your ideal entry. This is your ideal entry. Okay. So you could
Okay.
have entered long here. Any of these candles is fine. Your initial stop loss is here. This is your stop loss. Initial stop
Okay.
loss. This is the amount of risk you have to take in the trade. Then when you get your first target, when you get your first target here, you move the initial stop loss to your cost, break even. That means you cannot lose in this trade. Got it?
Okay.
Then you got your second target also here. See, ideally, this was a thin touch. Ideally, you should not, consider this. I mean, you should always keep it at a little safe distance, somewhere like here, to avoid this kind of weeks. Or just place an alert, and then once the candle closes, then act. If you want to avoid, or if your week takes it out, then that's fine. If you can't monitor, then leave it like this only. That you cannot help. But ideally, this was not a sell condition. You can understand, right, by looking at the nature of the candle. Price came here only to pull you and then reversed. See,
Okay.
even though it reversed, you could have again joined the trade here. You could have again made an entry here with a stop loss here, and then again you got your one target here, your second target here, your third target done, your fourth target done, and see, ideally you should have exited here itself. Third target done. right? If
Okay.
you did not exit, you should have, actually you can continue. I mean, look at this. This is beauty. Actually, you would have been exited here because target hit and then retracement. So your stop loss would be hit exactly at this point. Do you understand why? Because when you reach this target, you will place your stop loss here. And this candle would have taken out your stop loss. So in this trade, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 targets.
Okay, sir.
So that's it, and once you get a trade with 3, 4 targets, don't trade for the rest of the day. Wait for again tomorrow, or even if you take rest for 1 or 2 days, because this is a massive profit. 4 targets is massive, right? How much is 4 targets? It's almost 1300 points. 1300 points in Bitcoin is a lot, no?
Sir.
It's almost 1.23%. 1% in Bitcoin is a lot of money. I don't know. You can calculate in your because it is also leveraged. 100x leverage you get. It's a lot of money. Your account probably would have doubled in a few of these trades, right?
Sir.
So I teach a framework which gives you a new way of looking at markets. Maybe you would have never looked at markets this way, right?
Okay,
I
sir.
don't know what setup you have been using and making losses, but with this setup, you cannot make a loss over a large number of trades. See, one or two is, but when you are giving loss, you are giving this much. When you are winning at least twice, 3 times like that. Are you able to see that? The rules
Sir.
that I have defined in such a way that your losses will be relatively small compared to your profits. Your profits will be at least 2x, 3x like that. Your losses is always 1x. You are never allowed to give more than one GAN level ka stop loss.
Okay, sir.
And you have to always compulsorily book 50% on your first target. If you follow this
Okay.
basic rule of trading, you are going to
Okay.
make money. God is going to be with you, the system is going to be with you, and you are going to make money.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, let me pause the recording now.
Okay, sir.